Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Radio's outstanding theater of thrill, suspense, an episode starring Dane Clark, Till the Day I Die, from 76 years ago today, September 19th, 1946. And a happy Monday to you. Thanks for tuning in on this 19th day of September, the 262nd day of the year. We have 103 days remaining until we get to 2023. George Washington made his farewell address on this date in 1796. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid committed their first robbery together in 1900. Mickey Mouse made his film debut in Steamboat Willie in 1928. In 1934, Bruno Hauptmann arrested for the murder of Charles Lindbergh Jr. The U.S. barred Charlie Chaplin from re-entering the country on this date in 1952 after a trip to England. The first U.S. underground nuclear bomb test on this date in 1957. And in 1959, Nikita Khrushchev barred from visiting Disneyland. The biggest hit record of the 60s hit number one on this date in 1960, The Twist. Hank Ballard and the Midnighters originally recorded the song, but couldn't appear on Dick Clark's American Bandstand. Clark found a local artist to re-record the song, a fellow named Ernest Evans, but everybody called him Chubby. Yeah, he'd performed a Fats Domino impression, and Dick Clark's wife came up with Chubby, as in checkers. Well, the wordplay stuck. Based off Fats Domino, Ernest Evans became Chubby Checker. Flipper premiering on this date on TV in 1964. In 1981, Paul Simon, Art Garfunkel reunited in 1981 for a free concert in New York City's Central Park. Tipper Gore and other political wives formed the Parents Music Resource Center on this date in 1985. On that same date, Frank Zappa and other musicians testified at congressional hearings on obscenity in rock music.
The PMRC proposal is an ill-conceived piece of nonsense which fails to deliver any real benefits to children, infringes the civil liberties of people who are not children, and promises to keep the courts busy for years dealing with the interpretational and enforcemental problems inherent in the proposal's design.
And considering that nothing has changed, in fact, it's gotten worse, there will never be clean music. I mean, it won't. It just can't happen because of that pesky little First Amendment. Do I like obscene music? Do I like the filth? No, not at all. But it's a constitutional thing. Alrighty, the pilot episode of the hit medical drama ER aired in the U.S. on NBC on this date in 1994. It became one of the most watched shows of all time, ER did. The Washington Post, New York Times published the Unabomber's Manifesto in 1999. The leaking oil well in the Deepwater Horizon oil spill sealed in 2010. And on the 32nd anniversary of the 1985 Mexico City earthquake, a powerful earthquake struck Mexico City on this date in 2017. 370 deaths, 6,000 injuries, extensive damage. Among those passing away on this date in history, publisher Condé Nast, also singer Red Foley, musicians Graham Parsons, The Eye in the Sky, Skeeter Davis, The End of the World, the Champs saxophonist Chuck Rio, Bob Hope's wife Dolores Hope, and novelist Jackie Collins, all passing away on this date in history. This is the birth date of Adam West.
From that day forward, I vowed to avenge my parents' fate by devoting my life to fighting crime. I worked hard at it, building my body, and I studied too. Countless hours. I learned that criminals are a cowardly lot, which gave me the idea to wear a disguise that would strike fear in their hearts. But what disguise? And then the answer came to me, like an omen. And so I became Batman, the man with no fear.
His most iconic role as Bruce Wayne Batman in the 1960s, Adam West, born on this date in history, as was singer Brooke Benton, Paul Williams, singer-composer, and musician Mama Cass Elliot. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and NCIS, David McCallum, 89 years old. The Righteous Brothers, Bill Medley, is 82. From Adam 12 and Emergency, Randolph Mantooth is 77. The lady who sang about the Band of Gold, Frida Payne, 80 years old today. Model Twiggy is 73. Joan London, 72. Singer-actor Rex Smith, 67. Singer Lita Ford is 64. Country singer Trisha Yearwood is 58. From Days of Our Lives and The Biggest Loser, Allison Sweeney is 46. Singer-songwriters Tegan and Sarah Quinn, both 42 today. And Jimmy Fallon is 48.
Thank you. Opening a tab at a bar for being the prequel to forgetting your credit card at a bar.
Hey man, what time you guys open, man? I think I left it there. It's under the name Seth Meyers.
Thank you, Squeeze Ketchup Bottles, for giving me two options. No ketchup at all or blinding laser of ketchup. Oh, gosh!
Rip my hamburger in half! And what I can tell you I appreciate about Jimmy Fallon is that he likes the quiz show. Most especially Password, which he is a permanent fixture of. Jimmy Fallon, 48 today. Those some of the people celebrating the 19th day of September as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 76 years ago, September 19th, 1946, Suspense, Dane Clark in an episode entitled Till the Day I Die. That's up next here on this Monday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. No doubt. This is why so many people are joining Medi-Share right now. Medi-Share is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medi-Share can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. And Medi-Share is a Christian healthcare sharing ministry that's worked beautifully for 29 years. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on this Monday. Now an episode of Suspense. Dane Clark stars in the program entitled Till the Day I Die. This episode of Suspense was originally broadcast 76 years ago today, September 19th, 1946.
And now, Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. Roma Wines present Suspense. Tonight, Roma Wines bring you Mr. Dane Clark as star of Till the Day I Die, a suspense play produced, edited, and directed for Roma Wines by William Spear.
I'd practically worn a track in the linoleum, and I was on my third pack of cigarettes in 3 hours. I was jumpy as a 3-year-old thoroughbred that's flunked the saliva test. Partly it was because you always feel like that after a job. Partly it was the idea of staying holed up in that crummy dump when I had enough dough now to buy a good-sized hotel, but mostly it was Pat. She and I were washed up anyway, even if she didn't know it. And when you're washed up with a dame, almost... But when it's a kind of bellyache that she was doing, it's enough to get you set for a canvas course.
It's the future I'm worried about, Frankie.
Oh, what's the matter with the future? It doesn't look like you'll ever be on any breadlines.
No, I don't mean that. I mean our future, yours and mine.
Well, stop worrying about it.
I can't. You didn't have to do it, Frankie.
What do you mean I didn't have to do it? The guy had his cold. We were walking out of the place with a bag full of dough, and all of a sudden he steps around the corner and slaps a light in my face.
But you didn't have to kill him.
Oh, I suppose I should have given him cab fare to the police headquarters. He'd have put the finger on us, don't you understand that? He'd have given a description to the cops, and a good description is all those guys need because sooner or later, sister, they get you.
I don't know, Frankie. I just never figured you'd ever do a thing like that.
Ah, stop it. Look, you've been going out on these jobs with me for over a year now. You know what the score is. What do you think we carry a gun for? For looks?
Yeah, but this is different, Frankie. This is murder.
All right, so it's murder, and the only difference between murder and what you've been doing is that murder gets you the works and armed robbery only gets you 10 to 20.
Doesn't it even bother you?
Well, why should it? A guy I don't know the first thing about, a guy that just had the tough luck to be working late in the joint we stacked out the crack? A guy I don't even see his face. I don't know what he looks like even now.
He was a man, though, Frankie. He was a human being.
So what? Guys are knocked off every day. Guys you don't know anything about, only what you read in the paper. And do you worry about it? You do not.
I don't like it, Frankie. I don't like any part of it.
Yeah, but you like that 50 grand in the suitcase over there. You like that all right, don't you?
I'm not so sure, Frankie.
Oh, I'm not so sure.
Because I was in on this, too. Maybe you don't have a conscience, but I do. A man was murdered, and it was partly my fault. You don't just brush off a thing like that, Frankie.
Shut up.
Sooner or later, it begins to work on you. Sooner or later, it begins to catch up with you.
I said shut up!
And when it does, you... Oh!
Now forget it, will you? I'm sorry I hit you. Look, I'm a little nervous now. Pull yourself together, will you? Anyway, it's time to go out and get the papers. Come on. Run down for him like a good kid, will you?
All right.
And see if you can get me a couple of packs of cigarettes while you're at it.
All right, Frankie.
And stop worrying. Nothing's going to happen.
I can't help it, Frankie.
Listen, Pat.
Yeah?
I don't like you to worry, see? Because you might get ideas.
What do you mean, ideas?
I mean, you might get some ideas about saying something to somebody.
Oh, Frankie.
And you know what would happen if you did get any ideas like that.
You don't need to worry. Because I do know. Now.
I went over to the window and I watched her go down the steps of the street and then start for the corner. I knew I didn't have to worry about anything yet, but having somebody around who can put the finger on you for a murder rap isn't so healthy. I was just starting on my fourth pack of cigarettes when I heard her running up the stairs. All right.
Hurry up, Frankie. Open the door.
All right. Well, you don't have to knock the... What's the matter? Somebody after you?
No, but look at the paper.
Let's see. Oh, front page, huh? Pear Loot Brokerage Office.
No, the picture.
Well, what about the picture? It's me. It's me. Listen, Pat, there's only one place in the world they could have got a picture of me.
No, don't listen, Frankie. Don't you? You're hurting me. Look what it says.
What about it?
Look at it. Look what it says under it.
Huh? Philip Abel, accountant, shot down. No. It couldn't be. It can't be.
It is, though, Frankie. It's the man you killed.
It couldn't be, I tell you. Why, that's me. It's exactly like me any way you look at it, even the way the hair is parted. Look. Why, it's some kind of a mistake or something.
You know it isn't, Frankie. How could it be?
I don't know.
I don't have any picture of you. You told me you never had any taken. You said you'd been smart. You hadn't let him take your picture since you were a kid.
Yeah, that's right. I never did. But it's almost exactly like me. I couldn't tell the difference myself.
It's just one of those freak things. The guy you didn't know or care about. The guy who wasn't going to bother your conscience one little bit. The guy you killed turns out to be your double.
Yeah.
It's sort of like killing yourself.
Shut up.
I told you, it's not so easy to kill a
Come
man
on,
without...
give me that paper.
Frankie, what are you trying to do?
I'm tearing up that picture, see? And now, I'm burning it. See? And it's over with. It's forgotten, see? It's nothing but a little pile of ashes. I never heard of the guy. I don't know the first thing about him. I don't even remember his name.
I do. It was...
Shut up! I don't want to hear about it. Ever. Maybe I should have let her talk about it then when she wanted to. If I'd really got to thinking about the face in that picture, it might have made some difference. I don't know. It might have saved my life, but I don't know.
For suspense, Roma Wines are bringing you Dane Clark in Till the Day I Die, a radio play by Martin Ryerson. Roma Wines' presentation tonight in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense. And now, Roma Wines bring back to our Hollywood soundstage Dane Clark in Till the Day I Die, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I won't say it didn't get under my skin, because it did. To bump a guy off, and then to see his picture in the paper the next day. And it's a picture of yourself. Feature for feature. The spitting image. I guess it would get anybody. But it was like Pat said, just one of those freak things, so what was the use of worrying about it? What was worrying me more right now was that somebody must have seen us making our getaway because the cops knew it was a man and a woman who pulled the job. And that wasn't good. It meant that we were just that much easier to spot. It meant that with 50 grand in a suitcase under the bed, we still had to stay cooped up in that crummy rooming house day after day waiting for the heat to slack off. And finally, I couldn't stand it any longer.
Yeah, but Frankie, I thought you said...
I know what I said, but I'm going nuts in this place. I gotta get out.
All right.
It'll mean we have to separate for a while.
Separate?
Now, keep
Frankie...
your shirt on, will you? We can't hang around here, so one of us goes to Chicago and the other one goes to Philly. You take your share of the dough and
I don't want any share, Frankie.
Are you still beefing about that? That I killed a guy?
I just don't want the money,
All
Frank.
right. Take a couple of grand and anything you want, enough to last you a while. But you're getting out of town, see?
All right, Frank. But I got enough money.
Okay. Have it your way. You go to the Allerton in Philly. You know the place now. And you wait for me there.
For how long, Frankie?
A month, 2 months. How do I know? Until it cools off. But I'll get in touch with you. And when the heat's off, we'll meet someplace like KC or St. Louis. And then we'll head for the West Coast, right?
Frankie.
Yeah?
You won't forget to show, will you, Frankie? Because if you're going to, I'd rather know it now.
Forget you, baby? When you're the one person in the world who can put the finger on me for murder? Don't worry, baby. I won't forget you. I walked Pat to the subway station a couple of blocks from where the room was, and I said goodbye to her there. Then I bought me a couple of ready-to-wear suits, a few shirts, shoes, and the rest of the trimmings, and I stuffed everything in a brand-new Gladstone and hopped the bus for the railroad terminal. I wasn't doing anything or thinking anything. I was just sitting there in a bus on a seat all by myself, looking out the window, and up front somewhere, the kid was hollering, and I didn't pay any attention to him. I figured the kid was just calling to his old man to come and sit down or something. I went right on looking out the window. Then all of a sudden, I felt a tug on my sleeve, and the kid was there hollering at me.
Daddy! Oh, Mommy, come quick! I found Daddy!
I turned around quick, and kneeling there beside me on the seat was a blonde, curly-haired kid about 4 or maybe 5 years old. I don't know much about kids' ages. He was laughing, and yet there was big tears running down his cheeks. I don't go much for kids, but there was something about this particular character that...
Daddy! It's Daddy, Mommy!
Hey, now, wait a minute. Just a second, kiddo. I'm afraid you got...
Hey, what's got into you jumping up on that seat and shouting at the gentleman?
It's Daddy, Mommy! It's my Daddy!
Daddy, I'm awfully sorry, sir. Oh, no.
She was standing there, just like I'd seen her a million times, with that long blonde hair and those big expressive eyes. Yes, I'd seen her before, but always with my eyes closed. This was the first time I'd ever seen her with my eyes open. Is it so crazy? Haven't you got some kind of a person in your mind that you've always dreamed about? Her eyes were fastened on my face, wide and full of expression. I couldn't figure it. But she got very pale and licked her lips, and then she began to sway, and I jumped up and I grabbed her.
I'm all right.
No, look, you're not all right. You better sit down here.
Thank you. Maybe I will.
Sit here, Mommy. I'll move over.
That's this gentleman's seat, Teddy.
Oh, that's okay, Kitty. You stay put. There's plenty of room here for the three of us.
All right, if you insist.
Well, I do insist.
It is Daddy, isn't it, Mommy?
No. No, darling, I'm afraid it isn't. I'm so sorry. You must think we're both a little insane.
No, I only looked for a minute there as if you saw a ghost or something.
I'm afraid for a moment I thought you were a ghost.
Me, a ghost?
Yes, I know it sounds perfectly ridiculous, but for a moment there, I thought you were my husband.
Now I get that daddy routine.
Yes, it's almost uncanny, but he was the image of you, the very image.
The image of me?
Yeah, only, see, he's dead.
Oh?
Teddy hasn't quite gotten used to the idea yet. That's why he mistook you for his daddy. Philip was killed only about a week ago.
About a week ago?
Yes, perhaps you read about it in the newspapers. Philip Abel, killed by a hoodlum who was robbing the brokerage office where he worked.
September 19th, 1946, Dane Clark, Till the Day I Die, on radio's outstanding theater of thrills, suspense. Thank you so much for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. I really appreciate you joining us. We will have the news from 76 years ago today coming up in just a moment. But first, these important messages from your favorite station.
Attention Walmart shoppers. Now you can order one of the most advanced hearing aids on the market for hundreds, not thousands of dollars. Hearing Assist's most advanced product lineup includes models that use an exclusive app for enhanced control over what you want to hear. It's perfect if you have a smartphone or iPhone to hear everything better. And we have two great ways for you to get one. You can call the number at the end of this ad and order directly. Or you can call this same number and we will text you a complete list of Walmart Vision Center locations. We make it easy for you to hear better. Remember, call this number today to order and have a text message instantly sent to your phone to find the Walmart Vision Center near you. Here's that special number.
Call 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. 800-360-0597. That's 800-360-0597.
Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Radio's outstanding theater of thrills, suspense is our subject this hour. An episode starring Dane Clark, Till the Day I Die, as it was originally broadcast on Thursday, September 19th, 1946, in the newspapers of that Thursday. Going back some 76 years, these were some of the headlines. President Truman silenced Secretary of Commerce Henry Wallace last night while keeping him in the cabinet and rushed out a reassurance that this nation has no idea of attacking Russia. Wallace, in a letter made public Tuesday, said a, quote, school of military thinking, end quote, advocated a preventative war on Russia before the Soviets have atom bombs. Wallace denounced such thinking. Truman took two decisive steps in short order late yesterday. First, he arranged for a gag on Wallace for the duration of the Paris Peace Conference. Coincidentally, it may last through much of the congressional campaign as well. Deadlines set last week for the Paris Conference provide that conference commissions end their work October 5th and the conference as a whole on October 15th. Second, he got from Secretary of War Patterson and Secretary of the Navy Forrestal a joint letter completely disavowing any such thinking as Wallace referred to, and had his sides release it to newsmen immediately without comment. Early appointment by President Truman of a commission to investigate possible infiltration of disloyal persons into government service was predicted yesterday by Congressman Randolph, the Democrat of West Virginia, of the House Civil Service Committee. After a conference at the White House, Randolph told newsmen, "I am not interested in any witchcraft or red-baiting expedition," and emphasized that any proposed communication commission would be concerned only with employment practices and a need for possible new legislation. Any inquiry into the beliefs of individual government workers can come later if it's needed, he said, adding that Attorney General Clark has been consulted in plans for the investigation. An ex-GI prospector reported yesterday the discovery of a lost ledge of gold ore in Oregon, assaying nearly 30 times greater than the reported discovery of gold-bearing volcanic rock at Crescent City, California. Veteran Wellman Smith, 35, who sought the fabulous lost vein for years, only to be called away by war, reported he had returned to Oregon, located his claim, and staked it. The assay, he said, ran $1,481.20 a ton, and thus far the vein was traceable 25 feet deep and 2,000 feet long. The government clucked nervously yesterday at American farmers, notifying them that tractors are full of death-dealing gears and that you can't trust a bull either. In issuing its latest safety bulletin entitled "Watch Your Step, Avoid Farm Accidents," the Department of Agriculture had to take the chance that its warning of doom might frighten cautious husbandmen into some less hazardous professions, such as testing dynamite caps with their teeth. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Thursday, September 19th, 1946. Those some of the day's top news stories from the newspapers of September 19th, 1946. One day after this, on the 20th of September, Truman would fire him for delivering a speech urging conciliatory policies toward the Soviet Union. Him and his supporters then established the nationwide Progressive Party and launched a third-party campaign for president. The Progressive Party called for conciliatory parties toward the USSR, desegregation of public schools, racial and gender equality, a national health insurance program, and other considered leftist at the time policies. Although I think we can all agree that racial and gender equality and desegregation of public schools are no longer considered leftist policies. Okay, that from the news of the day and not back in 1946. Let's listen to a little more of Suspense Till the Day I Die, September 19th, 1946.
There was a terrible knot inside my stomach. I tried to speak, but the words got lost somewhere in my throat. I looked down at the kid with the blonde curly hair, the cutest kid I'd ever seen in my life, and I was a guy who killed his daddy. I kept thinking, this kid is what my kid would have looked like. I had to get a grip on myself. Right, so it was a coincidence. I happened to get on the same bus with the wife of the guy I shot down in the bank, but how was I supposed to know he had a beautiful wife and a curly-haired kid when I shot him? To me, he was just a Joe who stood in my way. So it was a coincidence, that's all. Anyway, I was getting off the bus at the end of the line, catching a train for Chicago, and that would be that. Well, they rode almost as far as the railroad station, and we sat there and we talked about a lot of different things. And it wasn't hard to talk to her somehow. And that kid. And then finally, they were getting up to leave. And then the kid reached up, and he did something no kid had ever done to me before. He kissed me.
If you ever come back to this place, Mr. Kane, we live right down this block, 7th house from the corner.
I'll remember that.
Goodbye, Mr. Daddy.
Goodbye, son. I bought my ticket for Chicago one way. I went down and got aboard the train, and the porter showed me my seat. But I couldn't get myself to sit down in it. I went out and stood on the platform. I stood there a long time. I tried not to think about her. I tried not to remember her face and the kid's face with all those tears. But it was no good. There was everything I've wanted all my life. A home, a kid, and the right girl. The girl. And why not? If she'd married Abel, she'd marry me, wouldn't she? Wasn't I the very image of the guy? Didn't she say that herself? Didn't the kid even call me Daddy? Why not? Porter! Yes, sir? Hey, Get my bag.
Well, we're getting ready to pull out.
Get my bag off this train.
Yes, sir.
Why, Mr. Cave.
Oh.
It's Mr. Daddy.
Hi, Teddy. Hi.
Oh, gee.
I thought you were on your way to Chicago.
There was a wire waiting for me when I got to the station that told me that the business deal I had there had been called off, so there wasn't any need of me going. And then I remembered your invitation, so I...
Certainly never expected it to be filled so soon.
Well, if it's too soon, I'll go and I'll...
Don't be silly. Come in, please.
Gee, I'm glad you're home. I mean...
I went into the house. It was everything I knew it would be. Neat, well-furnished, nothing overdone, just a real solid home. Then we went into the living room, and there in a big silver frame on the Braby grand piano was the same picture that had appeared in the newspaper. A picture of him.
That's Philip. He does look like you, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does. Quite a lot.
You can hardly blame Teddy very much, can you? Or me?
No, I guess I can't. After those first few uneasy moments, I guess you could say everything settled down to routine. I became a regular visitor. She and Teddy called me Frank, and I called her Barbara, and I had dinner with her a couple of times a week, and we went to the movies and shows and even a couple of night spots together. Did I feel funny about moving in on a wife and a kid of a guy I killed? Why should I? The guy was still a total stranger to me, wasn't he? And whenever she brought up the subject, I just ducked it. And she wasn't bringing it up so often now. From now on, it was just a matter of time. Except for one thing. One little thing. So about 2 months after I met her, I told her how I had to go away on business.
Where, Frank? Do you have to go far?
Oh, just to Philly, that's all.
Philadelphia, that's not far.
No, and, Barbara.
Yes?
When I come back, there's something I'd like to ask you.
Ask me?
Yeah. A question.
What kind of a question, Frank?
Oh, something about you and Teddy and me.
Oh. Well, will you be gone long?
No. What I got to do in Philly won't take long.
And the conclusion of Suspense, September 19th, 1946, when Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues on your favorite station.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property, and your tenants aren't paying you? We can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents or having to waste time showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your house to foreclosure. If you have equity in your home, we'll buy your home and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call now before your situation gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just need anymore and get the cash you need today. Call this number now.
800-477-4612. 800-477-4612. 800-477-4612. That's 800-477-4612. Paid for by Want to Sell.
On Tuesday's Classic Radio Theater, we begin another two-part episode of Counter Spy, the ABC program starring Don McLaughlin, Mandel Kramer, Phillips H. Lord's fictionalized version of the FBI. This one will be first one from September 20th, 1949. That's 73 years ago. The case of the Postal Pirates, a parcel post theft ring. A little black box catches a revolver in midair, and a one-finger typist punctuates sentences with bullets. That's coming up on Tuesday's Classic Radio Theater. But now the conclusion of Suspense, Till the Day I Die, starring Dane Clark, September 19th, 1946.
I knew the Allerton Hotel in Philly like I knew the inside of my hat. I knew how to get in without being seen and how to get out without being seen. So I just went up to her room.
Who is it?
Just an old friend.
Frankie.
Hi, baby.
Oh, Frank.
Take it easy, will you? Take it easy. Don't you want to let me in?
Oh, sure. Sure, come on in. Oh, Frankie, I thought maybe you wouldn't.
Yeah, but I did, didn't I?
Sure you did. Gee, you look great. You look relaxed and happy.
Yeah, I'm happy. Now, what have you been doing with yourself, Pat?
Oh, just waiting.
Well, nice and private here.
Yeah.
I guess we better get it over with.
Get what over with?
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you, Pat.
Bad news?
Yeah. I'm going to have to kill you.
Kill me? Oh, Frankie always did have a lousy sense of humor. Only don't kid that way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not kidding.
Frankie, put away that gun. For heaven's sake.
Sorry, Pat.
But why? What have I done?
Nothing yet.
Well, then...
You see, Pat, I met a girl.
All right, take her. But you'll come back.
No, this is different. She's the wife, was the wife of a guy named Philip Abel.
Philip Abel? That's the man you killed.
Yeah, you see, Pat, you got too good a memory.
But I wouldn't talk, Frankie. You know I wouldn't talk.
It's a chance I can't take, Pat, because from now on I'm not taking any chances. From now on I'm going to be happy.
Happy? How could a thing like you be happy? A cold-blooded butcher like you. You think all you got to do is spill enough blood around and you'll get what you want, you'll be happy. Happy, try and be happy with all the blood you've got on your hands. You'll never be happy until the day you die.
True.
Yeah. Go ahead. Kill me. Murderer.
I will. I was back that same night, but I didn't go around to see Barbara until the next day. I called and she asked me over to dinner. And afterwards I helped her put the kid to bed and he kissed me goodnight. Then I sat down with her on a couch in the front room.
Well, Frank?
It's about that question that I told you I was going to ask you when I came back.
What is the question, Frank?
It's, Barbara, will you marry me?
Oh.
Is that all you got to say?
Well, no. No, it isn't.
For what?
Well, I've got to have a little time to think about it, Frank.
Think about it?
Yes.
But you must have known I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I suppose I did, but it's still a pretty serious question to answer just like that, Frank.
Well, is it that you don't love me enough to marry me? Is that it?
It's not just a question of myself.
Well, what is it then?
It's Teddy.
Teddy? Why he's crazy about me.
I know he is, but things are easy, simple for a child. I'm the one who has to think about his future.
I can take care of his future.
Well, I know you can financially. I believe that, but...
Well, what other way is there?
Well, that's what I sometimes wonder if you know, Frank. You see, you're a little different from other men I've known. You're from a little rougher mold, a little harder.
Well, I can be changed. I can...
Yes, I think you can, but I want to be sure first, Frank. I want to be sure that Teddy's father, his second father, isn't just a successful man, but that he's a good man.
Like his first father?
Yeah.
And what did he have that I don't have?
Mm-hmm. Since you ask, he had a lot of struggle in his life.
Oh, struggle.
He was a successful public accountant when he died, but it hadn't been easy for him. He'd had to work his way through college. He was an orphan. He'd been adopted, you see. Real name was Lundeen.
Lundeen?
Mm-hmm. His real parents were killed in an accident when he was less than Teddy's age. They lived on a farm in a little town called Hemley, Vermont.
Farm in Hemley, Vermont?
Yes. Do you know the place?
Lundeen.
Mm-hmm. When he was adopted by a family called Abel. He didn't even remember it himself. He was too small, but they told it. Frank? Frank, where are you going? Frank!
I started walking. I tried to put it out of my mind like I had everything else. But it was no good. It grew and grew until my head was bursting with it. Until it was the only thing in the whole world, the thing she told me. So when I got back to my room, I knew what I was going to have to do. And I sat down to write this, to tell her before I do it. It wasn't just what I'd done. It wasn't realizing that a man with another man's blood on his hands can't be a fit father to that man's kid, or a fit husband to that man's wife. It was what she had told me. A kid named Lundeen. A farm in Hemley, Vermont. And I remembered. I knew now why I looked like Philip Abel. Because I had been a kid named Lundeen on a farm in Hemley, Vermont. I had been adopted by a family named Kane, and I'd grown up, but in reform schools mostly. And I'd lived to shoot and kill a man named Philip Abel, who was my twin, who was my brother. The gun is by my hand. Pat said I'd never be happy until the day I died. I guess she was kind of right at that.
Suspense.
Presented by Roma Wines, R-O-M-A, made in California for enjoyment throughout the world. And now, here is our distinguished star of tonight's suspense play, Dane Clark, and our producer-director, William Spear, carrying a huge basket of Roma Wines.
As Frankie the Killer, you deserve the cruel fate which just overtook you. I'm glad that you're dead, you rascal. But as Dane Clark, the actor, I think you deserve a handsome present for a very fine performance. So here it is. A basket of fine Roma wines from Roma and me, Dane.
Well, thank you, Bill. And while we're tossing compliments around, it so happens that Suspense is my favorite radio show, and that you're my favorite producer, and that Roma, my favorite wine. Let's see if Roma Sherry is here. There it is.
Well, Dane, how are the Warner brothers these days?
Oh, they're fine. Of course, I've been seeing more of the Davis sisters.
Betty and Betty, you mean, in The Stolen Life? You were fine in that picture, Dane. As my Aunt Judy says, you took off your part real good.
Oh, my compliments to your Aunt Judy. Who's for Suspense next Thursday, Bill?
Well, next week it's a story about an unfortunate but murderous-minded clerk, an accountant, who does what many a downtrodden employee must have often at least considered doing. He kills his boss. Our star will be Gene Lockhart. I think you'll like it. It's quite a character study.
Well, I'll certainly catch it next Thursday, Bill. And thanks again for everything. Oh, by the way, Bill, thanks so much for having Kathy Lewis and Betty Lou Gerson on the show with me tonight. I think they're wonderful.
They are indeed. Good night, Dane.
Next Thursday, same time, hear Gene Lockhart in Suspense.
Presented by the Roma Wine Company of Fresno, California.
In the following week, Suspense will present such stars as Judy Garland, Rita Hayworth, and Edward G. Robinson. Make it a point to listen each Thursday to Suspense, radio's outstanding theater of thrills.
From 76 years ago, September 19th, 1946, Dane Clark in Suspense here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Would you thank this radio station and support their advertisers? It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite radio station. We greatly appreciate that. If you miss a day on this station, you do not have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows on demand. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. We have a list there of various podcast sites that you can download our shows from, so you have them permanently. We also have up there our social media links, so you can visit us on Facebook and Twitter, so you can see the shows when they come out. And you can also buy me a coffee. And that buy me a coffee money all goes toward acquiring brand new classic radio collections for us to bring to you here. We've just recently added Mr. and Mrs. North, and we've also added Dick Tracy to the lineup, so we'll see when we get those in. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial, and have a great week ahead. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite station.